Welcome back to another episode of the Close Smarter Academy. I'm your host, Chris McGeady, and we're gonna have some fun today. I've been getting a lot of feedback based on some of my past episodes, so let's dive in. If you haven't yet, before I get started, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel, or if you're listening on Spotify, make sure you subscribe for all the future episodes that are coming out. Now, what I meant by having some fun with it is the past couple episodes I did a lot of parallels to my past life, which was in the firehouse. You can see it all behind me, right? And people are enjoying that. It's like, man, there's a lot of parallels there. And honestly, it's how I learned sales, because the light bulbs that went off in my head when I was learning sales is when I was on the ambulance. I remember that, or was I in the firehouse? I implemented something like that. Because think of it this way: when you roll up to a fire scene, you're going to assess the situation. You're going to make sure it's safe. You're going to come up with a game plan. You're going to implement the plan, and you're going to execute. Right? That's what we do. It's the same thing in sales, right? When you first start a conversation with somebody, you're assessing the situation. Then throughout that conversation, you're coming up with a game plan. And at the end of it, if there's a close there and the seller is on board with you and they like and trust you, then there's an execution. We're going to do something with it. So I use all of my past knowledge and I bring that over into my sales world, and it's helped me tremendously. And one of the videos that I got a lot of comments on, which is prompting me to kind of like parallel this in a series, if you will, calling it the Firehouse Sales Method, is that no call is ever the same. It doesn't matter what field you're in. No call is ever going to be the same. So when you assess something, if there's something different, a curveball thrown in, you have to come up with a game plan. And that's where the past knowledge helps out tremendously, because you can go to one call where somebody's conscious, one call where somebody's unconscious, just the same as you can go to one call where it's a vacant house, inherited, that they have nothing to do. They want nothing to do with it. So they say, it doesn't matter what you offer me, sign my contract. That's that's a slam dunk right there. You're going to sign it and move on. Then there's others that have lived in the house. Maybe they haven't. Maybe it's inherited and there's multiple people involved. They're fighting over price. They're fighting over whether they want to sell it or not. There's a number of things that can get in the way of that smooth process moving forward. So our job is to slow that down. And we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about the beginning of the call. Let's slow that call down and really find out what's going on, because to get from here to here there could be a lot of things in between that get in the way. So we have to make sure that we hit all the bases before we get to the end, because there's a reason why I can make $100,000 offer and get it accepted with a smile, and you can make $100,000 offer and it's considered offensive and they hang up the phone. Why do you think that is? Because we're getting into the true root of the problem. So think about it from the seller's point of view. There's a lot of sellers with things going on. They have life situations, they have financial situations. It could be the few popular ones, right? Let's go code enforcement, there's divorce, there's probate when somebody passes away. So that could end up being an inherited house. There is, job replacements. Job relocation. You have to move to a different state and you have to sell the house. Like there's different variables that come in when a seller needs to sell the house. So no one's the same. Even when they sound the same, they're both different for whatever reason. We have to find out what that reason is. So, but in saying that, a lot of sellers will get on the phone and say the same thing, and it appears to be the same thing. This is why it's so important to slow the call down, because a seller is just as nervous as you are, especially if you're starting out and you're nervous to get on the phone. They're nervous to have this conversation, because if they have that situation going on, they don't know you yet. You're a stranger. So their guard's going to be up regardless, but they do have a house to sell. They have a potential problem that needs solved. We just don't know what it is yet, and they don't want to tell you. So they want to get to the end, just like you do when you're nervous. You want to just give them an offer and move on and get on the phone and say, I can give you $100,000 for the house. And they say no. And you're like, oh, thank God, I don't have to be on the phone anymore. Let's get out of that mindset, right? Let's slow it down. Let's slow the scene down. This is where my parallel comes in. We want to get on the phone, and more times than not, they just want to get a price out of you. Hey, I got this postcard in the mail. That was our big thing. That's still our big thing. Direct mail is still a great marketing piece. Got this postcard in the mail. I wanted to reach out and see what you could offer me for the house. What do you say from there? A lot of you just heard me say that, and they're like, you're stuck. How could you not give them a price for the house because they asked for it? And if you don't give them a price for the house, they're going to be upset. That's not true. That's your job throughout this conversation to navigate it. You're going to be their guide now. So when we first get on the phone with them and they ask you for a price, you say, well, that's my goal, right? I want to get to the price. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, before I can even talk about pricing or making you an offer or numbers, really got to get a good idea of what's going on. So why don't we start by you telling me like what prompted you to reach out today? Like what prompted this phone call? You can ask that in your tone. You can ask that in your manner, in your demeanor. Mine, I'm very calm and collective. I'm not an excitable guy. And that in itself, your tonality there, you could calm the situation down just as it is. And that is something that maybe I didn't always have. I feel like I did. I feel like I'm just calm by nature, but definitely throughout my career in the firehouse, rolling up on some pretty hectic and chaotic scenes, just teaches you to be calm and collected, because if you're freaking out, they're freaking out even more. So you need to bring that down. Now, you might say, well, I learned, I watched a couple sales videos and they say that mirroring is important because that mirroring gets you closer in relationship psychologically with the seller. True. But in this case, when they're excitable and they have their guard up, like you don't want to mirror at that point. You don't want to come to their level. You want to bring them to your level. So we want to get them to the point where they're calm and collected. And then you can mirror all you want, because then their natural, once they calm down into their natural demeanor, is then when you can start mirroring them. And especially if you get them down to a calm state like I am right now, I can mirror all day long because that's my natural state. And then you're going to have a real human conversation with that person and really get down to what the issues are that you can solve, right? And that's where we want to be. We want to get the seller to a point where they're not just asking you for a price on the phone. They're actually opening up a little bit and telling you about the real situation at hand that they want to solve. And it only happens when you take control of that phone call and you slow it down. So you want to listen for that too. There's cues, even if you're not in person. Some people still go to houses. I still go to houses and meet with people. But if you're doing this on the phone, you can hear that on the phone call. I mean, you've been on the phone with people before and you can tell they're either standoffish or they're angry for whatever reason. Then it's not, it's not something that you can take offense to. These are things that the sellers are going through. And you have to realize that, like, never take offense to that. All of the situations that I mentioned in the beginning of this podcast are reasons why the seller is upset. They're anxious. They're stressful. They have a lot going on. This might be a potential solution for them, but they might have also talked to 10 other wholesalers or flippers already, or investors, I should say. And they've been run around and they've had all of the textbooks, here's your offer, take it or leave it kind of conversations, and they get tired of it after a period of time. So to throw them this, it's almost like it's not almost like it's a pattern interrupt, right? You're throwing that at them and you're slowing the conversation down and say, look, I want to be able to help you out, but I'm coming from a position where I don't even know if I can yet. And until I know that, and until I know a little bit more about your situation and what your goals are out of this, there's no way I can make you an offer that's responsible, because I don't know anything about you. I don't know anything about the property, and I don't know anything about your situation. So until we get one of those three at least kickstarted, there's no way I can give an offer. So that's the angle that we want to approach that conversation with. So that's what I'll leave it with today. That would be your homework if you took that out of this video or this audio if you're listening on Spotify. Your next conversation, make sure your focus is to slow that conversation down. Don't talk numbers at all. In fact, I hope they ask you for a number. That way you can use that and slow that conversation and say, listen, I can't give you a responsible offer right now until I find out a little bit more about what's going on. So why don't we do this? And then in your own words, find out why they reached out to you and why specifically today. What prompted them? Maybe they were holding on to your postcard for a couple of months, or maybe they just got it in the mail today. But when they read that and said, you know what, I'm going to pick up the phone and call this person today, we want to get behind that action of doing it and find out why they did it. So we'll leave that as the episode for today. And if you want to keep on listening to these, I'm gonna start releasing these on a more regular basis, with that parallel mindset, I'm going to have I don't know if I'm going to call it a series, but I'll have a lot of videos and audio with the Firehouse and the sales parallel, because like I said, I can have some fun with this, and there's plenty of stuff that I can bring into the sales world from my fire experience. So hope you enjoyed the episode today. Like I said before, make sure you like and subscribe. Let me throw this up here too. Also, I have the website here, wintheclose.com, and I have a couple of links in the description. You can join the Facebook group, all free, wintheclose.com. If you want me to review one of your sales calls for free, the booking link is at wintheclose.com. I'd be happy to meet with you and review one of your sales calls for free. So until the next episode, have a good one.